and welcome to the first live at lunch, and we're going to be talking about how you should be using and whether children can take melatonin to help them get to sleep better. So we're going to be here for about 10 minutes talking about melatonin, and then there's time for you to chat and ask questions afterwards. So apologies for starting a little bit late. This is the first live stream, and because it's live, obviously everything always goes wrong. So if you've never seen me before, don't know who I am, my name's Katie Woodland. I am a developmental psychologist, a holistic therapist and a wellness advocate. So I support individuals, businesses and schools across the UK with a whole host of different mental health difficulties and training and therapy. So we do quite a lot, and I wanted to just make sure that we are helping as many people as possible, which is why we're going to be doing live at lunches. So let's get back to what we're talking about today. So we're talking about children and taking melatonin. So a couple of years ago I wrote a blog post on this, but it still seems to be something that many parents are talking about when I'm doing therapy with them. So I thought, well, do you know what, let's repurpose that, add a bit more info in, and then get some feedback off you guys. So don't worry if you're not here now. If you do have questions, please comment afterwards, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So don't worry if you're catching this 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months later. Pop your question down and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. So there was a study a couple of years ago done by some Canadian scientists who looked into melatonin and children and whether it was safe to use it long term. Now what they found with the children they studied and looked at, that 80% of children with mental health difficulties reported struggling getting to sleep, but 70% of children without mental health difficulties also reported struggling get to sleep. So children across the board, regardless of whether they're struggling with mental health, something's going wrong at the minute when it comes to sleep. So the worrying thing is that 24% of children were being given melatonin to help them sleep. 20% because mum or dad or caregivers gone to the shops, gone to the pharmacist and requested it. I'm not sure whether you can do that over here, but in the study, they went and requested it, and 4% were given a prescription by the doctor. So it's not that much going out from GPs and doctors, but there is still some going out. Now the problem is that while melatonin helps your child get to sleep quicker, what the research has shown is it actually doesn't give them a better quality of sleep at all. So they still wake up at the same time, same number of times throughout the night. They still need to get up, they're still restless, and they usually just get up earlier. So if it took them an hour to get to sleep before the melatonin, after you give them the melatonin they may go to sleep within 5-10 minutes, but then they're getting up an hour earlier. Now the reason for this is it takes a lot longer than one night to reset your sleep habits. Okay, so initially you may be thinking, oh my god, this is great because they've gone to sleep, but over time you still have to do extra work to get your child to sleep. So it's really important that your child does get sleep. Obviously we all need sleep. Children who are under 10 need between 11 and 12 hours a night, and teenagers need about 16 hours. Okay, so sleep is super important. Now while the jury's out on exactly what it does, there's some people say it does something, some people say it does something else. We know that during sleep things like sorting your memories happens, cellular regeneration happens, so lots of things go on in your brain, and when you're a child or when you're a teenager, there's a lot going on with your body, a lot going on with your brain, and so sleep is super important. You can think of sleep very much like you think of going to the gym and letting your body relax. So if you go to the gym and you do weight training, you have to rest your body the next day, because that's when your muscles will tear and repair, and that's when you get stronger and build your muscle. So all the things that you do during the day, your brain needs to sort, file, fix anything. So if you've bruised yourself, your brain will be saying, let's send some cells down there, let's fix that. So not getting sleep means you're missing out on all of that process. Now there's a very strange 8-hour sleeping myth that goes around, which drives me absolutely crackers. And the reason why is there's lots of research to show that we sleep in 3-hour cycles. Okay, so you have light sleep, goes into REM sleep, goes into a couple of stages of different levels of deep sleep, and then you come back out again, and then you go in. Now, the more times you go through the cycle, the deeper your deep sleep is, and the shorter your REM sleep. So REM sleep is your dream sleep. And it's your deep sleep where all of this magical stuff happens. So if you're setting your alarm for 8 hours, you may have got into your 3rd cycle, which is great, because the longer you go through, the deeper your sleep and the better it is. But chances are your alarm's waking you up when you're smack bang in the middle of a deep sleep. Okay, so this is why you feel groggy and knackered, and it's the same for kids. That doesn't change as we grow up. You know, we all sleep on about a 3-hour sleep cycle, bar babies. Babies are crazy. They have their own routine, completely own routine. They just don't care what's going on in the world. So what you need to try and do for a start is set alarms based on this 3-hour routine. Bearing in mind, unless you're sleep deprived, it takes between 20 minutes and 30 minutes to get to sleep. And some people just struggle to get up in the morning. So, you know, it may take 20 to 30 minutes to get up. So for a 9-hour sleep, you need to be planning 10 hours in bed. And that's one thing that I've noticed that lots of people forget to do. Yes, you want a 9-hour sleep, but going to bed, you're not giving yourself enough time. So plan in an hour extra for how many hours you want to get. And if you don't think you're going to be able to get a 9-hour sleep, go for 6. Do 3, 6, 9 and 12 if you have the opportunity to go for a 12, or 24. You know, sleep for as long as you need, but try and do it in 3-hour cycles, and you will find that you're sleeping a lot better. And obviously the same is for your child. So if your child needs between 11 and 12 hours, just so it's the 12 hours, and you're going to have to plan 13 hours in bed. Now, to get children to go to sleep, there's some really key things, really simple things that you can do so that it's going to turn on their own melatonin. So we all have melatonin. It is the thing that helps us go to sleep. We all produce it naturally. Just sometimes the environment gets in the way. We're not giving it the best opportunity to start. So the sun and bright lights and white lights actually stops your melatonin from being produced. So things like TVs and computers and phones, they're made with blue light, and blue light also stops your melatonin production. So what you want to try and do is have a tech ban. Okay, an hour before bed, no tech, no TV. If you've got a light in the bedroom, in their bedrooms, try and get, you get a light coloured one or a really low wattage one. So it takes about half an hour for your melatonin to start producing. So say for example you're going to bed at 10, at 10 o'clock you want to make sure that you've had no tech since 9. So turn off the telly at 9 o'clock. By 9:30 then your melatonin will start to produce, and by 10 o'clock you should be able to go to sleep pretty quickly, relatively easily. So there's other things that you can make sure you're doing and not doing. So try not to eat a couple of hours before bed. So if you are digesting food, that's going to keep you awake because your body's still alert. I have no idea about the cheese and nightmares thing, but if we're just going to cut out food, definitely avoid cheese, and because even if it does give you nightmares, even if it doesn't give you nightmares, it's going to be keeping you awake anyway because your digestion is going. So doing vigorous exercise before bed is not a good idea because that's going to give you your natural energy. So doing something like yoga or tai chi or meditation, because that's really calming and relaxing, that can be really useful to just help you unwind. And there's also things like meditation, writing out a list of everything that you need to do or everything that's going on in your head, and all of these things you can teach to your child. So there's some great free apps, great advice out there on just doing simple yoga things with your child, and it's going to obviously help so many different areas, not just sleep. Now the caveat, it's not going to happen overnight. Okay, it takes about between 4 weeks and 6 weeks to fully embed and change the way that our body is working. So you have to plan what you're going to be doing, and you have to stick to it so religiously for 6 weeks, And if then you still see no difference, then it's worth getting it checked out. But if you've got erratic sleeping patterns and you may eat at 7 one day and at 9 the next day, or you're eating lots of sugary foods, that obviously impacts your ability to go to sleep. So there's certain foods that help you produce melatonin, so definitely look into melatonin foods. So there's loads of different things that you can try before using chemical melatonin, because the evidence says that it just isn't doing anything to be useful. So the best thing to do is actually retrain your own body or your child's body to actually enable them get to sleep better. So apologies for the late start. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Please put any comments below. Also make sure you subscribe to the channel, because then you'll get alerted when we go live. You'll also get alerted when we upload other videos. So have a wonderful rest of your Friday, and I'll catch up with you next week on Monday when we start all the business talk. Have a great day and have a wonderful weekend.